Well, welcome all to another session here of Locution Pros. Today we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite topic, and that is writing for the Academy. APA writing is the format we're going to be looking at today, but there are lots of different formats. Turabian, Chicago, MLA, and you wonder, why do you have all these formats? They have them for one reason, because they like to torment us. Regardless, if you're going to be writing a paper, you're going to have to write according to a specific set of guidelines. And today we're going to be looking at APA formatting. Yay! So we're going to be looking at some of the distinctives here, and I just recommend that you want to spend a little time, look through the list of ideas and recommendations here so that you can write a paper quickly, and you can write a paper that's approved, at least in terms of format. Content is, of course, going to be a different video. There are a variety of distinctives with an APA type of paper. It's going to have a title page. So you're going to make sure you've got a title page. You may have something called a running head. If you're writing a professional style paper, you'll need a running head. If you're writing a student version, you'll need no running head. Now, two types of versions now. In the past, there was only one, and now there are two. Student version and professional version. For the majority of you, I'm assuming a student version will be sufficient. You will need to make sure that no matter what style you do, you always have a page number. And where do page numbers go? Yeah, they always go in the upper right corner, so make sure that you have them there. Lastly, you can use in-text citations rather than footnotes, which I would highly recommend. Never liked footnotes. I'm very glad that you can do away with them here and instead have the in-text citations. Formatting issues. You want to make sure that everything is double-spaced. Everything is double-spaced, except, of course, in figures and tables. You want to make sure that every page, including the title page, has a page number. And of course, where do page numbers go? That's right, they go in the upper right corner on every page. So please make sure that you have them. The heading introduction is something that you don't use in APA formatting. So don't include it. The first heading should be the title of the paper. So you want to make sure that you don't have headings, okay? The first body. So make sure that you do have headings throughout the paper. And the heading should be meaningful. I should just be able to read the heading and think, I know what this section is about. If you're just putting one word in a heading, that's probably not a good idea. Next point, no personal pronouns. Now, I have to be honest, APA is now saying personal pronouns are okay, but I do believe that in the professional, especially the STEM field, people tend to avoid them. So I'd recommend that you don't put them in. Avoid I, you, we. Instead, focus on the subject at hand. If your focus is on smog in cities, well, then that should be the subject. Okay, it shouldn't be I or we. Try to avoid doing that. Focus on the subject. Additionally, no contractions. Contractions ain't allowed, to make sure that you don't put them in your paper. You should be writing in one color. Typically it's black, and make sure the font is 12 point, and it should be a serif font. This font that you're looking at here, you'll note it doesn't have any feet on the letters. That's a sans serif font. This would be illegal. If you're going to be writing a paper, you should probably have a serif font. Lastly, make sure you write an active voice. Not something we'll be talking about here, but you should look that up. You want to make sure that you're writing an active, not in passive voice. You should also remember that most of APA writing is for academic purposes. So you want to make sure that you're following these guidelines. Academic purposes means that it's typically not something that's flamboyant or colorful. It's the same type of format all throughout. So make sure you remember that as you're working through your paper. If you're going to have an abstract, it should be on a page all by itself. So make sure that it is on a page all by itself. There's only one heading for the abstract, and that is the one-word abstract. Centered, bolded, and on a line by itself. All the paragraphs in here should begin with a tab key, except in the abstract. The abstract shouldn't have that. The abstract should also have keywords. We'll look at those later. They're at the bottom of the abstract. Also, remember that if you have anything in the references page, it should be cited in the paper. If there is no citation, then you don't put it in the references page. Alrighty, take a quick look at the anatomy of a typical paper. You've got three major sections. You've got your front matter, you've got the main block of the paper, and then you've got what I call back matter or end matter. The front matter are things like the title page, an abstract, table of contents, maybe an acknowledgement. You put all that on the beginning of the paper, but that's not the actual part of the paper. The main part of the paper is what I had called here the paper. It's going to have an introduction section. I'm not going to use the heading introduction, but you're going to have an introduction section. It'll include background information and the like. You'll have a method section. Method section here is basically, this is how I did my research. These are the procedures, the participants, materials, all those should be subsections, right? And then you're going to have a results section. Now the results section is simply the results. No embellishment, no description, no explanation. A lot of tables show up in the results section. In the discussion section, you do have your opinion. You try to talk about what the results may mean. Try to talk about, hey, we tried to do the research this way, as our method said, but we didn't end up actually doing it. Okay, and then you'll have a conclusion. Finally, you'll have back matter. Back matter is going to have things like your references page and any appendices that you may have included in the paper. Here's another way of looking at it. Your front matter introduction. Notice in the introduction you've got background information. Your research topic might actually be put there. In your method section you'll have maybe an introduction, but then you'll have another subsection for describing your participants or the environment that you did something. What were the procedure you used to do this particular research? What may be materials and other types of subsections. This is all written up so that you can describe what you did and allow other people to duplicate your work. Okay, and we're not going to believe what someone does with just one paper. So we write up the method section so other people can duplicate it, verify that what you're saying is accurate. Again, the results section is just the results. The discussion section is going to include more commentary. Conclusion section will review everything, give possible implications, suggestions for other research. And then of course we have end matter. Let's take a quick look at a table. If you're going to be including a table, all tables should have a table number. Also going to have some sort of a table title, so make sure that you have that when you put in a table. Look at this table. Everything is double spaced, okay? Everything is laid out in very straight, simple format. You're probably going to have some type of a table note that's going to explain things as well. That's what a standard table will look like. You put in a table without a table number or a table title, there's something wrong. The same would be for figures. You've got a figure number, you've got a figure title. Make sure that you put those in. There's going to be some sort of a note down here at the bottom. You want to make sure that title or that note is in place. Okay, this is the place you should go to get more information. Definitely recommend that you come here to go find that out. That's apastyle.org. We'll come look at that in just a moment. In fact, let's go to that website right now. We can go there and see. And let's take a peek over here. Here's the website. You go to apastyle.org. You can see the heading right here. And after you get here, you'll see there are a variety of different guidelines that you can use. I recommend you just come over here and look at these guidelines. Just click on that link and you'll be able to see all the guidelines that they do have. It's a great site, helps you learn a lot of different things. You can see all the different options that are there. We're just going to go look at a sample paper. So we're going to click on this link here, come down here. We've got a variety of options. We can look at PDF form, we can look at a doc form with notes or a doc form without notes. We're just going to go look at a student paper with some notes in it to help you try to understand more about the paper. So here we are looking at this sample paper. Let's zoom in here a little bit. Here's the title of the paper. Okay, so there's the title. It's written up. Okay, that's the title page. Please note, we've got page numbers. All pages get page numbers. We've got here's your main body of the paper. All right, and you'll see there's the title again. It's the same one that was on the title page. That first heading is actually the title of the paper. Okay, and everything else in here, all these little things that are highlighted in yellow are ways to do your in-text citations. Not going to go through that. You can go look at those. I'm more concerned a little bit about the headings. Here's a primary heading. Here's a secondary heading. You see the difference between them. You'll see all your paragraphs begin with a tab key, except in the abstract, which we don't have a copy of here. So we're going to be fine there. Okay, so here's a quote. And you can have longer and shorter quotes as you go through. Ooh, we got notes on the other side there. Okay, here's another in-text citations. Here's another quote and how you can do quotes, long quotes as well. There's an example of that in here. Okay, this is a long paraphrase. Okay, so this is going to be a very good guide for you to help you understand what's going on. There again is another primary heading. Primary heading here, secondary heading here, so you can see how that works. You get to the end, hopefully you will see the references page. And here's the references page and how it is set up. Everything should be done this way so that all the work that you do is going to show you the proper way of doing this in APA formatting, okay? So that's that page. I do hope that you go there and visit it. It's an excellent place to learn more about APA formatting. Also want to talk a little bit about the vocabulary you use as you're writing. Make sure that the vocabulary you use is understood by the people who are reading the paper. If it's too complex, you're going to need to explain a particular word or phrase or concept. If it's too easy, they may get bored. So you don't need to explain something that you believe your audience already knows. With regard to sentence complexity, it's always generally good to make a variety of sentence formats. Some of them short, some of them long, some of them compound complex. Making them super long is probably not a good idea. No more than 3 segments would be my recommendation. And that is the basic formatting for APA that I wanted to talk to you about. I do hope that this was helpful. And if you do have any questions or concerns, you can certainly give me a ring and I'll be glad to help you out with any other information I can possibly have. Good writing, people. Talk to you later.